Hello, welcome to Infinite Prattle. On today's episode, that was loud, wasn't it? Was that loud? Was that too loud? I don't know. Anyway, welcome to Infinite Prattle. Today, I'm going to revisit one of my most popular episodes and talk a little bit more about that. So stay with me.
Hello and welcome to
Infinite Prattle!
Unscripted, unedited prattle on everything. Hosted by me, Stephen. Listen, like, share and subscribe and enjoy the show.
Hello, welcome to Infinite Prattle. Thank you very much for joining me again. And thank you very much if you've subscribed, liked, listened, downloaded, or give me some feedback, which is always nice to know that someone's out there rather than just listening. It's nice to know you're listening, but it's nice to get some feedback and some comments and some questions and some insights into how you think too. So thank you if you've done any of them things, and if you haven't, you could, I suppose. Anyway, today I'm going to put my hat on. Hang on a tick. I can't remember which hat I was going to wear now. Aha! See, this is what happens when you record back to back and you try to run through things. So you can see I'm wearing the exact same clothes as the last episode. I'm spoiling the magic, aren't I? Anyway, Rick and Morty out. God, I don't get any better, do I? I don't get any better. 6 seasons, like 100 and something episodes. 100 was it? 100. I don't know. 180 episodes, I think it is. Which is a milestone. I will get better. Anyway, today's episode is going to be about imagination and how I use my imagination even at 42 years of age. Now, one of my most popular episodes was the second episode I released. So the very first episode was called This is Stephen Speak, because my podcast was called Stephen Speak at the time. Now it's called Infinite Prattle. Confusing, I know. Maybe a bad choice to change the name 4 seasons in. What are you going to do? Anyway, Imagination was the... Coming Me to a Wheel of Imagination was my second episode, and one of my most popular ones. And in that, I describe like how I'm in my own head a little bit too much, probably, and how I'm a bit of a kid. So I just wanted to expand on that and tell you some more stuff that I do. Probably recap a little bit of stuff I do, but go back and listen to that episode. I'll put a key card somewhere so you can click, and then come back and listen to this, and it might make a bit more sense. I don't know. I've not listened to that one. Probably should have listened to that one before I started doing this one. I did not, because I am not very organised. Because my imagination and my mind gets away with me. Where did I put my brew? See what I mean? Yes. So, imagination is a massive thing in my life, and I don't know how much it plays a part in other people's lives, really. I don't know whether people are naturally imaginative and how they apply that to their world. My mind is constantly going. It's always on the move, which is a great thing, and it's also a terrible thing at the same time. It can be quite difficult to relax, and it can be quite difficult to like manage the order of things in your brain. But generally, I'm okay. I'm used to how I am. But imagination kind of helps me get through things. It helps me sleep. It helps me organise my thoughts. And people would probably think I was mad if they saw me doing it. I'm sure they would. And I probably do stuff that most people would do. So I sing in the shower a little bit, and I probably pretend that I'm on stage. No, I am in a band, but I pretend I'm on a bigger stage. And I pretend sometimes that I'm in an award ceremony performing, or at a Super Bowl, and or on stage and doing theatre if I'm singing like a theatre song. And that's probably normal. I think most people have sang with a brush into a mirror. And danced around the house and had that kind of fancy, fleeting as it may be. but I think my brain sometimes takes it a little bit further, and I take it into everyday life. I, I think I'm realizing the older I get, and um, the more I look at myself, the more I kind of organize my thoughts and understand myself. Um, just how I use my imagination and my thought process to just get through life, really. And it's a soothing technique as well. So let me get into the crux of the matter. So I use imagination in a way to script my life. And I don't think I've ever told my wife this, so it might be a bit of a revelation to her. But I kind of will rehearse things sometimes, and if I'm anxious about a situation, say a work meeting or a situation with someone where I've got to talk about something serious or even not serious, but I want to come across happy or jovial or trying to change my mood or trying if there's a thing that's making me anxious, I'll try and rehearse it in my brain. And again, this might be a normal thing. I don't know. I don't know whether people do this, but I will literally imagine the conversation between two people and try and logicize what is logicize a word. I use it a lot. It probably isn't a word. Trying to make logical thought processes and how that conversation may go. And even at work, I practice sometimes conversations just so I don't embarrass myself, because my brain sometimes thinks faster than my mouth. No, my mouth thinks faster than my brain. So I spurt stuff out sometimes and have to go back and correct myself. And I don't like doing that because I like people have confidence in what I'm saying. So I like rehearse conversations. I rehearse situations. And I think for me that's like a soothing technique to kind of make me realize that situation probably isn't as bad as I'm expecting it to be, and that even if I play out a worst case scenario in my head, that it's not that bad. And I don't get hung up on this, and I don't do it for everything. But if something is really stressing me out, and I've got time, say I'm sat on a train and I'm traveling somewhere, that's kind of where my brain goes sometimes. And it is, I think, for me, a soothing technique. I don't know where that's come from. I've just always done it, even from a child. Something that I've always done. And when I think about it, it's probably because I played a lot on my own as a child. I liked my own space. I liked to be in control of that situation. So maybe it's a form of control for me that I rehearse that situation so I can almost foresee what's going to be said and practice what my lines are to lead it into the way I want it to go. Sounds quite manipulative, doesn't it? I never really thought about that. But I don't mean it to be manipulative. It's literally something that's just going to help me process what's going on. But as a child, I played alone quite a lot through choice. But also, my brother's 5.5 years older than me, so when I was like 6 or 7, wanting to play, he's like 12. He doesn't want to play with his 6-year-old brother, and I've always had a really, really vivid imagination, which, unless you're in my brain, I didn't really want you to play with me anyway, because I had a very, very logical way of playing. So, like, when I was a kid, I had Micro Machines and Manta Force. Google them if you don't know what they are. Brilliant toys. I wish I'd never give them all away, to be fair, but I give them to charities that help people with like kids with less fortunate lives. So I thought they were just in my loft, and the value of them to sell, I could have probably got money for them, but they were just sat there, and you can't put everything on display. And there was a charity asking for toys, and I thought, you know what, they give me so much joy, I'm going to give them away. Part of me regrets it, but part of me knows that they obviously went to people that needed some toys, and hopefully they're still being played with. They're not in a landfill somewhere, fingers crossed, because that would upset me. But anyway, I digress. I used to basically plan my play, and that might sound sad to some people that it wasn't organic, and it was a little bit organic. But I used to plan a battle between the good guys and the bad guys, and I set it up all on the landing in our house, and sod you if you need to go to the toilet because my toys were everywhere. And my dad used to try and play sometimes, but he'd be like, "Right, I'm going to move this," and I was like, "Do not move that. That's not going to move yet. This battle has to happen over here. Then they're the reinforcements. What you doing?" And I'd get kind of like pissed off, if I'm honest with you. I almost wanted them to be observers of my play, because again, there was no time to explain it. The play had to happen. There was no time to say what the plan was, and sometimes it was organic. But generally, I had an idea of like, right, I've set that up over there. This is a battle scene that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Then they'll come over here because they'll win that battle. They're going to come over here, do this, and it had a flow. And in my brain, it was almost like a film, like I was directing a movie, even from a very, very young age. And it's always something I've been interested in. I think that if I got into film and TV and how my kind of imagination of visualizing things would have played out in that kind of world, because I've always kind of played with things. Even when I had Action Men, the Action Men were puppets in my show almost. And there was plots. There was plots, subplots. Like when I got a bit older, there was really complex things going on, and I almost wish I could be a fly on the wall of my own play sessions, because I was probably quite silent apart from making like gun sounds and stuff like that, and I was probably quite silent apart from the talk and speech of the people that would be talking, because it was all going on my brain. Like my brain was like firing away on all cylinders. I did that with all my toys and all my playthings. One of the things I really, 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 really love doing was kind of like maybe an early podcast, actually, thinking of it. In the time, I used to pretend I had my own radio show. So I used to, and my brother used to do this, I think, but I don't think he was like open to admitting it. But I had like a boom box. I've still got it somewhere down here. It was like it's an Hitachi cylindrical one. It's a great piece of kit. So futuristic looking back in like the late 80s, early 90s when I got it for my birthday. I think I got it for my 9th birthday or 8th birthday. It was my first proper adult piece of tech, really. And had a built-in microphone. So I got a couple of blank cassettes so I could record my own shows. So I used to put a tape in the playback tape deck, and I used to press record and then speak into the microphone, pretend I was a DJ, and like introducing guests. Like I know I've still got a tape actually, and I should have actually see if I could have copied it to my computer for this. I don't know how I'd have done it, but I'm sure I could have maybe played it in the tape deck and recorded it onto my phone or something. But there's one, and I'm really young, and I've actually loaded the game Dizzy on the Amstrad to play the music, and that was the music for the radio show, I think, and I'm saying how Dizzy was a cool dude, and then I'm saying I've got like MC Hammer in the studio with me, and he's dancing, and then I play some music, and it's right at the end of I had one of my mates copied me the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle soundtrack onto a tape, and it's after the last song on side B where there was some blank space, and I decided to do this radio show. So my imagination's always been like really, really high level even as a kid, like really detailed, like, and I get so into the thing I was doing, like really dedicate myself to it, to such a degree that if someone interrupted me, then I would be furious. Or I don't necessarily think I was embarrassed by being caught doing stuff like that, unless I thought they were taking the piss. Then I'd be more frustrated, thinking that I'm just doing something normal in my eyes. But yeah, my imagination for acting stuff out has always been there, and nowadays I use it. I think as a self-soothing kind of technique. But if I'm in the house on my own, I will walk around talking to myself, say acting out conversations, pretending I'm being interviewed for a magazine. I still do that now at 42. Is that weird? I feel like it isn't weird. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't care. And I really don't care. I don't care. It's just something that I do, and it's something that it makes me laugh. It flexes my brain muscles, enables me to think on my feet, because I always challenge myself to come up with some explanation for something in my life, or I'll imagine I'm being interviewed, say about my podcast, or I imagine the podcast has got famous and blown up on YouTube or something like that, and I'm being interviewed about it, and how would I handle that situation? Or I'll imagine that, and this is a bit far fetched maybe, but I've saved a building from terrorists like John McClane, and I'm being interviewed about that, or I'm. That's actually one of the scenarios I used to go to sleep. Actually, weirdly enough, this is bizarre. Now this is bizarre. If I can't sleep at night, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I can't quite remember. But as a soothing technique for going to sleep, I have a couple of techniques to go to sleep. One of them is to imagine just a beach, a very, very plain beach. So, lying on the beach, imagining the ground, the sand on your skin. And this is a really good technique, actually. It really works. Imagine the warmth of the sand, the warmth of the sun, clear blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. It's very, very quiet, apart from the lapping of the sea. And you can feel the breeze on you. And you just constantly keep imagining that, and you'll be asleep so quick. If that doesn't work, then generally I imagine that I'm John McClane. Normally, weirdly, from Die Hard 2, where it's set in an airport, and me and Sarah are going on holiday somewhere. Sometimes a mum's there, and basically we get separated in the airport because I've gone to the toilet, and terrorists storm the airport, and I have to climb into the ceiling and rescue them, and I'm the hero of the day. But I normally don't get anywhere near that. I normally get down to taking out the first couple of terrorists and getting a radio, and then I fall asleep. But literally, that's how I go to sleep. And it weirdly relaxes me because I'm comfortable with that story. I don't know. I think I've just got so used to that story, and now my brain's conditioned, and that thought process induces sleep. Now that could be considered weird, I suppose, but it's just how I use my imagination. I apply it to things that I need to make myself feel better. And I think that creatively, I have a reasonably good imagination. I think I hold back, weirdly enough, when it comes to like just random shit. I don't really hold back on it. But when it comes to creativeness, like I try to restrain myself, which I shouldn't. I should just be completely open, just rip the lid off the top of my head and let things pour out. And I'm trying to be more like that with the books I'm writing, and just write stuff and don't kind of question it as I'm writing, because I don't do that when I'm in the flow of thinking about my imaginative stuff. And I don't think about that right now. Like what I'm saying now is not scripted whatsoever. That's the whole ethos of this podcast. Is that I think of a subject. I may do some limited research. I may do some limited notes. But in general terms, there's nothing here that is scripted or planned apart from the subject matter. And I should be like that more. And I think everyone should be a little bit more like that. It's nice to be a bit unhinged sometimes and free. And as Morpheus said in the Matrix, free your mind. And I think that'd be a good title for this podcast, actually. Free your mind. I'll have to remember that when I'm going into the editing. I just think that like don't hold back. You can be a child. You can be childlike. It doesn't matter. I use my brain in all sorts of ways, and when I'm at work, I have quite a serious job. I have lots of serious things to review and serious paperwork to write. So when you can be childlike or free and express yourself, kind of like in the previous episode, I was talking about my haircuts, my hairstyles, and down to the clothes you wear. Like, be interesting, use your brain, and you never know, you might get something out of it. Using your imagination, you may have an epiphany about something. You may come up with a brilliant idea. I've started to write things down now a lot more again. I used to write things down loads when I was living on my own. And I think I felt restricted a little bit sometimes when I'm living with Sarah, just because I feel that my actions are always going to impact her. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. So I've been doing a lot more when I've been in the middle of the night. If I've come up with some thoughts, I've been grabbing my phone, and she's not even noticed. Well, she hasn't said that she's noticed, at least anyway. So I'm really pleased. So I'm kind of trying to be a bit more free with my thoughts, because sometimes you have good ideas in the middle of the night, and when you wake up in the morning, you could not remember them, and that's bad. So I'm trying to do that. It was a bit of a higgledy-piggledy episode today, so I'm not going to apologise. I was going to apologise. I'm not going to apologise, because that is what you should expect from Infinite Prattle by now. Is just a whirlwind of information in some sort of order, which might not be the right order. delivered in hopefully my unique way. I really enjoyed doing this. I said in the last episode, thank you for tuning in and listening. Please keep using your imagination and keep that childlike essence, that imaginative being, that creativeness going. You only can be creative if you relax into it. You can't force it. You have to be in the right environment and the right situation to do it, and make sure you're with the right people, with the right person that will support that, because that's really important too. Having that support of being who you are, essentially. Hi mate, how rude, my phone's going off even though it's on do not disturb. How does that even happen? It's my mum, I'll phone her back in a minute. Anyway, I think that having that support and being able to be free, I apologise to Sarah all the time for being myself, singing to myself, making silly noises to myself, chuckling to myself, because that's what I do. I have to openly be expressive sometimes, and it's not good to keep them feelings in. And it brings me joy to express myself like that. It makes me happy, and it makes her happy that I can be me. So make sure that you can be you. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go phone my mum and see what she wants. Probably just a good old Sunday chat. So I'll go and speak to her. But yeah, until next time, take care of yourselves, look after each other, use your imagination, and make sure you keep prattling.
Thanks for listening to Infinite Prattle with your host Stephen. Follow me on social networks at Infinite Prattle, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.